Hey buddy, my name is Andy, better known on YouTube as The Uncommentator, and this is the second part of my 2-video series where I'm going to be booking My Dream Wrestlemania. Now in the first video I booked Night 1, in this video I'm going to be booking Night 2. Now I'm not going to recap Night 1, so if you haven't watched the first video then please go and do so after that, but what I will do is recap the rules for those of you that actually didn't watch the video and want to know what's happening. So, as I've said, this is My Dream Wrestlemania. It's going to be a 14-match card. So in the last video, I did Night 1, 7 matches. This is going to be Night 2, 7 matches. I've said I can only use a wrestler once. That includes multiple gimmicks, so I can't have the one-man gang and Akeem, for example, because that's the same person. I can only use a WrestleMania once, so I can't have 2 matches from the same WrestleMania. So I can't have Savage versus Steamboat and Hogan versus Andre, for example. Unless it was Hogan versus Andre from WrestleMania 4. I'll say that before somebody else does. And the last rule, I've got 4 mandatory championship matches. So I've got to have a men's world title match, I've got to have a women's world title match, I've got to have a tag team title match, and I've got to have an intercontinental title match. Speaking of the Intercontinental Championship, that is how we're going to be kicking off night number 2. Because our first match from WrestleMania 32 is the multi-person ladder match where Kevin Owens defended his title against Dolph Ziggler, The Miz, Sami Zayn, Stardust, Sin Cara and Zack Ryder. Now I don't think this match gets as much love as the match from the previous year. So this was the second consecutive WrestleMania where a multi-person ladder match for the IC title kicked off the show. It happened at WrestleMania 31, which Daniel Bryan came out victorious. And they thought, well, that went well, let's just do it all over again. So they did. Now, I don't think this one gets as much love because it's on a WrestleMania that generally doesn't get as much love. But I actually think this was a better match. I think there's some decent memorable spots on here. You've got Stardust using a ladder with a dusty finish. You've got Sin Cara actually hitting a splash off a ladder as he was being tipped off it. That was quite impressive. You've got the famous Sami and Kevin hockey fight spot that they like to do when they wrestle each other, but they did it at the top of a ladder, which of course makes it better. And then of course you've got the bit where, I think this is the bit that most people remember from this match, where Sami hits that half Nelson suplex onto Owens on the ladder. He then lets his head drop inside between the rungs. And at that point I think the crowd sort of rises, everyone sort of thinks Sami's going to win, or they're cheering for him at least. He gets to the top of the ladder and then The Miz knocks him off the ladder, pulls his you-know-what eating grin that he does. He's got his hand on the title, and then from out of nowhere, it's not an RKO. It's a Zack Ryder, L-I-Z, what was he called? Long Island? Anyway, move on. It's a Zack Ryder to knock Miz off the ladder and pull down the title and get the unexpected championship win. Because at that point, I say at that point, he was booked like this most of the time, but he was pretty much booked as a loser, Zack Ryder. Obviously, he won the US title that time, but other than that brief flurry into the winners into the winners box, he generally lost. So it was a great moment. He celebrated with his dad afterwards. I think a lot of people remember that as well. And again, he loses the title the next night, which is, I think, again, still is people's memory of this match. But we're not interested in any of that. We're just interested in what happened on the night. And I think this was a great ladder match. And for the second consecutive night, I'm kicking things off with a multi-person ladder match. So a bit of a tease for the last video if you haven't seen it. Now for something completely different. Because from WrestleMania 24, my next match, it's the biggest versus the best as they booked it. It's Floyd Mayweather versus The Big Show. Now again, I think this match doesn't get as much love or doesn't get as fondly remembered because of what's happened since then. This, for me, for a long time, was the standard for celebrity matches at WrestleMania. Certainly before a certain Rapscallion Rabbit came along. This, for me, was the best celebrity match at WrestleMania. One of the best celebrity matches that WWE's done. So Floyd, being Floyd, he's such a natural sort of performer. He's got natural charisma. And he was so naturally hateable that you ended up with a situation of Goliath being cheered against David. So you have this tiny 5 foot something, I mean, he's only about 5'6", 140-pound guy, going up against a guy that's 300 pounds heavier and well over a foot taller. And he's the one getting cheered. It was quite bizarre, but Yeah, this match, yeah, as I said, this set the standard for celebrity matches for a long time, and I think because of what's happened since then, it doesn't get looked on as fondly. But Floyd, to be fair to him, people can think what they want about him being a showman and this, that, and the other. But he took some licks. He let the Big Show stand on him. He took a side slam. He let the Big Show stand on his wrists and his hands, which obviously for a boxer could be catastrophic. Mayweather's entourage also took a bit of a licking in this match. They were taking bumps, as well as the man himself. But of course, Floyd turned the tables. He pulled out the brass knucks, and perhaps surprisingly won. I do wonder actually, and I don't know. I've never actually heard anybody talk about this, but I do wonder if Floyd only agreed to this match on the principle that he would win, because clearly in his professional boxing career, he never lost and was quite proud of that, and as you would be. So I just wonder if he wouldn't have done this match had he not been booked to win. But he was, and he did, and I thought this was a good fun little match. And also it gives me an excuse to say that I've actually met Floyd Mayweather, so it gives me an opportunity to throw that in. But we've gone from a multi-person ladder match to a match between a boxer and a giant. We're moving on to a match now between two giants in different sense of the word. Because from WrestleMania 18, match number 3 on this night 2 of this Dream WrestleMania is The Rock taking on Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Now this infamously didn't go on last in real life. It's not going to go on last here. And there's a reason for that. Probably the same reason why it didn't go on last in real life. But we'll get to that when we get to it. Again, what can I say about this match that hasn't been said 1,000 times? I don't really need to say anything at this point. They stared on at the beginning. JR saying, look at the flashbulbs. This is all iconic stuff. And then straight away, Hogan wins a test of strength, starts posing, the crowd goes mad, and you know exactly what you're in for at that point. I mean, from that point on, the action's fairly basic. You've got back rakes, you've got abdominal stretches, you've got a lot of punches, a lot of kicks, shoulder blocks, you know, a few things outside the ring just to, you know, I think Hogan drops Rock chest first on the barrier, which Rock always sold really, really well. But this is just a great match, you know. Rock, I don't know. Again, was it on the fly? Did he know he was going to get booed? I don't know. But spits on the weight belt, just a great little touch. And then the crowd going mad. You think Hogan's going to lose? He hulks up, points at the Rock, shakes his finger, but ultimately he can't win. I think it's 3 rock bottoms the Rock hits during the course of the match. Pins him after a people's elbow, and then the face turn for Hogan is solidified with a handshake. All iconic stuff. The crowd are absolutely going mad all the way through it. Just a fantastic, not a fantastic wrestling match, but a fantastic match, I think. So one that I really wanted to have on the card. Now the next match that I've got coming up, again, we're jumping from one thing to another here, something again totally different. You could argue this is a little bit of cheating because this features somebody that has already featured on night 1, so again a bit of a tease if you haven't seen that video yet. But match number 4 on night 2 is from WrestleMania 22, and it's Edge versus Mick Foley in a hardcore match. Now again, this match, like a few other matches that I've featured, but this match really is a little bit overshadowed, I think, and it's overshadowed by itself. I think a lot of people just remember the end of the match, but there's a lot more to this match than just the ending, I think. It shouldn't just be remembered for one spot. I mean, right at the beginning, Edge spears Foley, but Foley's got barbed wire around his waist, and of course Edge gigs his arm to really sell the impact of spearing somebody who's wrapped in barbed wire, essentially. But again, there's all the classics here. Foley uses Barbie. You've got a fantastic looking spot where Lita jumped on Mick Foley's back, and despite that, he still ran and clotheslined Edge out the ring, which meant all three of them tumbled over the top rope. That was great. Edge also, I think this match almost made it. This was almost like Foley and Randy Orton from Backlash 2004. This match really solidified. I mean, he'd already won a world title at this point, Edge, but I think he had. I'm not questioning my time. I'm working for memory. I'm not questioning the talent, but this really did solidify Edge at the top of the card, much like Orton in the match I just mentioned. Edge also took a bump onto the tacks, which can't have tickled. You then had the barbed wire wrapped Socko, mandible claw. Again, I think a lot of this stuff gets forgotten about because of the match ending bit, which I think everybody remembers. So Edge flying through the middle rope, spearing Foley through a flaming table, and of course getting the win. A really good match, really brutal match, and a match that fully deserves to be on this card. As is the next match, which is as follows from WrestleMania 25. In fact, if any match deserved to be on a Dream WrestleMania card, it's this one. It's The Undertaker taking on Shawn Michaels. Now, what can you say about this match? I said that about a match from night one. I said on that video there were two matches that when I planned to do this, there were two matches that I absolutely had to have. There was one on the night one video, and the other match was this one. In fact, this was the first match that I wrote down. Now, unfortunately, because of this match, it then ruled out a lot of other matches that I could have had that I wanted to have. But part of the reason why I came up with that one, I can only use a wrestler once, is because if I didn't do that, then you'd very, very quickly get sick of me saying the words Shawn and Michaels, and also probably sick of me saying the words The and Undertaker. So I bunged them together. Again, it eliminated a lot of the matches, but I couldn't not have this match. I mean, even the entrances were iconic. Shawn coming down from the sky dressed in white to take on the Undertaker coming up from the ground dressed in black. I mean, this match really, I can't do it justice. You have to just go and see it. This, for me, this is probably the best WWE match of all time, and probably a lot of people would say one of the best matches of all time. But certainly for me in WWE, this is the best. I think this is the best match in WWE history. I absolutely love this match. Starts off very basic, but just two solid pros that know exactly what they're doing. They've been on this stage so many times. They've fought each other down the years so many times. Of course, they did the iconic first Hell in a Cell match. But Michaels, as you'd expect, being the smaller guy, trying to ground the Undertaker. The fight shortly after this spills to the outside, and then we get the first bit that I think everyone remembers from this match. So Shawn goes for a dive to the outside, a moonsault. He manages to hit his, but unfortunately the Undertaker doesn't manage to hit his dive when he goes for one. And when you look at that right there, it makes you wonder how he actually didn't injure himself, or certainly not more. Well, he probably hurt himself a little bit, but how he didn't actually seriously injure himself when you look at that, I don't know. But I think that actually added to the drama of the match. I mean, you never want things like that to happen, because obviously infamously the cameraman was supposed to catch him and break his fall, but the fact he didn't actually, I think, made the match better. But of course, Undertaker fought back. We get the iconic, I mean, that's been turned into a meme. We get the iconic shocked face when he counters. Shawn Michaels is going for the skin the cat. He counts it into a tombstone, hits the tombstone. Everyone thinks it's over, but Michaels kicks out. But he can't last. Of course, he can't last much longer. He goes for a moonsault off the top rope. Undertaker catches him into a tombstone, and finally puts Michaels away with the second tombstone to go 17-0. Just one more thing I want to say about this match. I'm not one of these losers that loses their mind about Dave Meltzer's star ratings. Like, you know, if he gives a match 5 stars, like if he wants to give 5 stars to Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher, that's up to him. It doesn't affect my life whether he does or not. But what I would say is, he didn't give this match 5 stars, and this is one of the few times when I have to. Again, he's entitled to his opinion, and we'll disagree on a lot of things, and I don't really care. But I do want to. Why didn't he give this match 5 stars? Like, seriously, if every match deserved 5 stars, it's this one. I can only assume he didn't, was because of that botched dive. Or he did it just to troll people and thought, well, I know what get everybody talking. I'll not give one of the best matches in WWE history 5 stars. Just again, further push the narrative that he's biased against them. But anyway, that's just a small aside. If you're watching, Dave, hi. But yeah, fantastic match. The best match in WWE history, in my opinion. And a very, very difficult match to follow, as Randy Orton and Triple H and everyone else that had to follow that match found out. But the task of following this match on my WrestleMania card, it's the penultimate match. It's the match before the main event. If you can even call it a match, because Brian Alvarez wouldn't. It's the Firefly Funhouse match from WrestleMania 35, 36 even. Edit that out. For WrestleMania 36, it's John Cena versus The Fiend. Now, is this a match? Is it not a match? You know what? Who cares? Because it was just great. It was just great. From start to finish, it was exactly what we needed for the time. Of course, this was the pandemic WrestleMania. The night before, we'd had the Boneyard match. We didn't really know what a Firefly Funhouse match was. It had not really been advertised. The build had been atrocious. Really, I mean, what was the build? The Fiend walked onto the stage, pointed to the sign, like everybody's got to now for some reason. Cena tips his cap. Cena cuts a bit of a shoot promo that totally buries him. And then, of course, you've got a match. But was it a match? It was a vignette. It was a character assassination. It was a opinion piece. It was what it was. But for me, all it was just wildly entertaining. So, of course, you got the SmackDown fist. That was fantastic to see. Cena going through his gimmicks, going through time. I think this was split into three sort of definitive sections. So there was the starting bit here, where Cena was basically being billed as Hulk Hogan, essentially, or the big sort of muscle man that Vince likes. And then to signify the end of each section, they ended up actually going to the ring, where there were a few wrestling moves hit. So Bray teased his sister Abigail. This was a callback to WrestleMania 30, when a lot of people say that Cena should have lost to Wyatt, when he quite famously didn't. Then, of course, you've got the slightly weird, but you could see what they were going for, NWO bit. That was, again, I quite enjoyed. It was quite clever. And then, of course, the match. It is a match. There was a pinfall. There was a 3 count. The Fiend taking out John Cena. Bray Wyatt himself counted the fall, and the Fiend won the match. So, yeah, was it a match? Was it not a match? Who cares? I thought it was great. So that's why I put it on the card, and I put it in this position as well. I think it would be a good way, given what we've seen so far on this Night 2 card. We've got high flying hardcore. We've got the fantastic wrestling match. We've got the crowd killing match that was Hogan and Rock, and by crowd killing I mean killed everything afterwards. Obviously at the time it was phenomenal. So this is a really good way, I think, to just let everybody settle down, entertain them, ready for the main event. Now, if you've been keeping score at home, you'll know what WrestleManias I've not used yet. You'll have a rough idea what wrestlers I've not used yet. And you'll also know that I haven't had my world title match. Now, I'm a bit old school, and I think the world title should always go on last. Particularly at WrestleMania, it should be the focus and the most... I mean, you could make a case when there's times when it shouldn't be, but as much as possible, the title should be the focus of a wrestling promotion and the focus of WrestleMania. And it's the same here, because my main event of my Dream WrestleMania, actually, I much like the women's title match, before I reveal the match that it is, I was actually torn, really, really torn between two matches. And they are Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar from WrestleMania 31, and Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston from WrestleMania 35. Now, I chopped and changed and wasn't sure which one to go for, but in the end, I settled on Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston from WrestleMania 35 will main event My Dream WrestleMania. Now, why did I go for this match over the other one? Well, I just thought it was a better match, and I just remember at the end of this match how I felt. I basically compared how I felt the first time I watched both of these matches, and I felt like I'd enjoyed this match more. Just thinking backwards to when I watched them. So that's why I went for this match. Also, Daniel Bryan, just one of, if not the absolute best that there's ever been. I really do genuinely think he's in that conversation. I don't think anyone can argue that. He puts on a masterclass here. He slowly but not boringly takes Kofi apart, keeps cutting him off, wears him down, and that just makes the Kofi Hope spots, or the Hopefy spots, which you could call it, or maybe not. That just makes the Kofi Hope spots a little bit more exciting for me. It elevates the comeback. Of course, Bryan's a heel at this point, but he goes for the yes thing, which I always think worked really well when he was a bad guy. Doing the slow finger points to the air. But he goes for it. Kofi avoids disaster, fires up, hits Bryan with his own yes kicks, whacks him with the Trouble in Paradise, and then of course we've all seen that face from that's another iconic moment when he pulls the shock face. Everyone goes mad. He wins the title, and then the aftermath, of course, celebrates with his real life best friends and his real life children. They're just a real good feel good moment, and I think a great way to end this Dream WrestleMania. So that is 14 matches, all booked, and that is my Dream WrestleMania, all booked. So just a quick recap of what I've got in place for night number 2. So we've got the multi-person ladder match from WrestleMania 32. We've got WrestleMania 24's Biggest versus the Best. We've got WrestleMania 18, Rock versus Hogan. WrestleMania 22, Edge versus Foley. WrestleMania 25, not the 25th anniversary, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. WrestleMania 36, the Firefly Funhouse match. Main evented by WrestleMania 35, Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston. Now, one thing, before I end this video, one thing that I did want to draw your attention to, you may have already realised this already, but I didn't do this on purpose. But over the 2 nights of my Dream WrestleMania, both night 1 and night 2, amongst the 14 matches, I don't have a main event from a real life main event. None of the matches that I picked actually main evented WrestleMania. Again, I didn't do that on purpose. It was just a thing that happened. So yeah, I don't know what that says about anything. Probably means absolutely nothing. Now, just one last just a couple of last things before I end this video and end the series, if you can call it a two video thing, a series. There were quite a few wrestlers that I didn't use that I wanted to use, and for various reasons I couldn't or didn't use them. Now, CM Punk and Randy Orton, part of the reason, again, spoiler if you've not watched the first video, so their match I actually put on night 1, and one of the reasons I put it on it was to use them. To be honest with you, I just wanted to use them. But there were quite a few others that I wanted to use that I didn't manage to use. I'm not going to go through all these, but these were just 9 that I picked out of people that as I said, that I wanted to use but just couldn't find a place for them. I just want to mention a few of them though. So Owen Hart, for example, if you know, I wanted to use his match with Brett from WrestleMania 10, the opening match. That was fantastic, but I just couldn't find a way to. I just couldn't get that one in. Kane, when I first got into wrestling, Kane was actually my favourite. You know, I thought this cool guy cool monster in a mask, just totally different to most of the things on the card. I just liked it because he wore a mask, basically. I like wrestlers that wear masks. I used to anyway. Doesn't really, not as bothered about it now. It doesn't have the same emotion, but the 10-year-old me, however old I was, thought masks were cool. So yeah, it would have been nice to have used Kane. Rollins as well at the bottom there. I actually saw somebody describe Rollins as a modern day Mr. WrestleMania, and I thought that was quite apropos. When you think back to his back catalogue at WrestleMania, you know, his match with Logan Paul was really good. His match with Kevin Owens was really good. His match with Cesaro was really good. There was obviously the Heist of the Century. He had a good match with Triple H. I absolutely cannot stand the laughing thing. And the crowd singing along with him, that also needs to get in the bin. But it turns out when the bell rings, he's absolutely phenomenal. And then the 2 women, again, it was difficult for the women because there haven't been that many non-title matches that have got women in them in WrestleMania, let alone good ones. I'm trying to think of ones that, you know, most of the women's matches, certainly the sort of Attitude Era and mid-noughties and that, it was sort of Playboy pillow fights and things like that. There was a match I think Vicky Guerrero won when she hit a frog splash that I think they may have called a bullfrog splash on commentary, which is probably aged quite badly. But yeah, it's difficult to put women into the card without it being a title match, and because I'd limited myself to one title match, it meant that I couldn't get Sasha and Becky in. But they of course were part of a great triple threat match at the WrestleMania 32. But yeah, there's a few others I could mention, but those 9 in particular were ones that I wanted to use. Now, the very last thing that I want to mention, because again, this wasn't by design, it's just something that happened. So once I come up with my 2 cards, I went on the very reputable source that is Wikipedia. I wanted to work out just how long both of these cards would be, because I didn't want to end up with two cards that were going to be like 5 hours long each. But just in terms of purely bell-to-bell action, Night 1's matches total 2 hours and 6 minutes. Amazingly, Night 2's matches total 2 hours and 4 minutes. So I think if you include entrances and video packages and the odd interview here and there, I think you've got two solid nights, 3.5 hours worth of action there. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. But yeah, that's it. So that is my Dream Wrestlemania. So 14 matches booked, a 14 match card. As I said, the rules that I went through at the beginning, I think I met the criteria. So that would be my Dream Wrestlemania. So if you enjoyed this series, you enjoyed this little 2 parts video, then please like and share the video. You can also leave a comment in the video should you choose to do that. Please, I actually would really like to read some other people's comments. So using the criteria that I set out, please let me know what your WrestleMania cards would be, because there's so many matches that I didn't use that I wanted to use. There's so many differences of opinion. There's thousands of combinations you could come up with. So so please do that. If you did enjoy this type of video, as I said, I don't want to make it a habit, so I'm probably not going to do too many more of this type of video. I'm going to just stick to doing gaming videos. But I thought it was a fun little exercise. I quite enjoyed doing it. And like I said, I'd be really interested to read people's comments. So please leave me your cards in the comments. That'd be fantastic. Also, if you want to do my Nightmare WrestleMania, so the worst possible WrestleMania you could do, then please leave a comment, and I may do that if enough people request it. But I don't think that's quite as entertaining, because intentionally picking bad matches would basically mean intentionally picking matches that people have probably forgotten about, because they're just kind of they're just bad, so you just forget about them. Unless I pick infamously bad matches, of course. Anyway, I'm rambling on far too long. This video's going far too long, so it's just time for me to say thank you very much for watching. If you haven't watched part 1, then please go and do that. I think you'll enjoy it if you enjoyed this one. Leave a comment, tell me your WrestleManias. But join me next time. I'm going to be moving on to probably back to my natural habitat, and that's going to be video games. But until we get to that point, for now from me, enjoy WrestleMania, and it is sayonara.